Hello and welcome. I want to talk about something called the suspended chord. And this is one of these chords that doesn't fit into the system of scale tone sevenths. It isn't a regular chord like we know major, minor, or dominant, or minor 7, or major 7. It's something unorthodox, and we wonder. Often with my students, they say, what does this mean? S-U-S. C-S-U-S. What's that mean? Well, a suspended chord is a musical chord in which the major or minor third is omitted and it's replaced by the fourth. In this case, we're going to look at a major third and we're going to replace the third in the chord with a fourth. We're going to raise it. Now, it came from the classical term suspended, meaning often this was from a chord that was carried over the bar and then resolved in this way. So this is a chord with tension in it. It has a perfect fourth and perfect fifth here, but it has tension. It isn't going to just stay like that. It wants to resolve down to there, to the third. But in modern music, in modern pop music and modern jazz, we just keep the fourth in there. We don't worry about the resolution of it. But early on, it was always resolved. So we had this. Now, there's two types of suspended chords. There's the suspended fourth, and there's the suspended 2. This is often written as C2, and this is often written as C sus4, and sometimes this is written as C sus2. So we can see this wants to move down to there, and this note wants to move down to here, like that. So now I'm going to give you examples of these in actual tunes that we play, so we can see the practical use of these sus chords. Okay, the earliest example of the sus4 chord was like this in classical music or liturgical music, was the Amen, like this. So there's your tension chord now, it resolves. The 4 resolves down to the 3, and there's your Amen. Often it went to this too. So then it went to the sus2 there. So the sus2 would resolve this way, in the same way. Or if you inverted it to a 9, it would be a 9/8, like this, which is more common in modern music. But in early music, it was this, or was this. Okay, now let's look at it in terms of like early jazz or the jazz standards type of song, Tin Pan Alley type of standards. You're going to have progressions like a 1-6-2-5, and often when you get to the 5 chord, you would see the sus chord there. So now, what this is meaning that if I'm playing C, A minor, D minor, G7, now on the G7, I'm going to let that be a sus chord first, and then resolve it down to G7, and maybe even G7 flat 9. So like you see, the harmonic motion goes here, 4, 3, and then flat 9. So there's your. You can see how that's used in jazz now. So the sus4 is often looked at as actually, and this is a little complicated, but it's actually 2-5-1, but the D minor 7 now in the 2 is played with the 5 in the root. So the 5, the G is played in the root. Now that automatically gives you a sus kind of sound, because you see up here is that 4th degree. So you have this, so you can play it like that, moving, resolving down there, and then to 1 like that, or you can play it like this, with this, the 4th being there, moving down to the 3, and then resolving to the 1. Now, we'll go on to a modern jazz concept of this in which you don't have to resolve it. Okay, looking at modern jazz now, we don't have to resolve the 4 to the 3, so now you're going to see that in something like Maiden Voyage by Herbie Hancock. This is, of course, not modern but now, but it was then in the 60s. But you have this D minor 9 now played like this. So now you have, we're raising the minor third to the fourth. So it's like having a polychord. We're having like D here and we're having C here. So now we have this. That's the vamp in Maiden Voyage. So you have like, you have this suspended fourth there, okay? And then you also have a seventh and you have a ninth. And there's the suspended fourth again, which we can call the 11th. Okay, so you have to count these out like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? And 10, we're in the key of D. We're on a D chord, so there's your 11. 8, 9, 10, 11. So now you have, and then it's transposed up a minor third. Okay, so now it's up a minor third. I'm not actually moving everything up a minor third. I'm using close voicings here, or economy of motion, but I'm changing the notes, essential now, to the F chord now. There's your suspended fourth and your flat 7 and your 9. So that's an example of a modern, or more modern usage of the suspended fourth in jazz. Okay, now we're going to move into pop music, and this is particularly a good example of the suspended fourth used in pop music because it was used a lot, and particularly started around the time of Burt Bacharach in the 60s. But a good example might be a song called Close to You by Burt Bacharach, in which the melody goes, we're in the key of, say, F now. So we're going to go B flat major. Now there's your suspended fourth right there, and it would resolve like that. And go to the A minor 7. So the chords are, we're in the key of F, so we're going to go to the 4 chord, major 7, down to the 3 chord, but now with a suspended fourth. So you can see, well, here's the third. It's an A chord, so it's an A dominant 7th. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's your 4. So replacing the third now, the major third, by the fourth, and then it resolves down to the third like that. So you do have the resolution here. And you need that resolution. Now it goes, and then to an A minor 7, which is not expected there, but, and then, so that's a modern sound now for pop music. It's contemporary, but you're using that sus chord. I'll give you another example. Okay, here's an example from the 70s. We're talking about now Marvin Gaye with What's Going On. It's like, that's the vamp. E major 7 to C sharp minor 7. Now F minor 7. Now there's your B chord, your dominant chord here now, the dominant 5 of the key, which we're in the key of E major. And there's your dominant chord with the suspended fourth. And this is a richer sounding chord because it has other things in it. It has the root, right? The 9th. Here's the suspended fourth of the 11, you could call it. And up here you have a 13. Now how do we know that? We have to count from the root, and it's a B chord. So we have to count the scale of the root. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is the same as 13. So it's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Why is it a 13 and not just called a 6? Because we have the dominant 7th. We have the flat 7 there. So it's above the root. So you have to look all the way down to here and count all the way up to 13. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? and this is actually dominant, but we're going to count it in terms of the scale. The B scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So you want to remember that the 13 is the same as the 6th, but an octave higher. But we have that suspended fourth. That's the modern sound in pop music. Here you have the 2 chord going to the 5 in suspended. It doesn't have to resolve. It doesn't have to go. It doesn't do that. It just stays on the 4. And then it resolves to here, like this. There you go. So there it is. There's your suspended fourth right there. Resolving to there. My last example is a song by John Lennon called Happy Xmas, War is Over. You may have heard this on his Christmas record, but anyway, it has a very simple progression in the key of A. It goes to the 1 chord, to the 2 chord, B minor, so it goes A major, to B minor, to the 5 chord, which is E, back to the A. And the melody is like this. That's the motive, and it's repeating, and it modulates into other keys. But the interesting thing is about what's going on in the harmony, which is war is over, war is over. So it's this. So against the A chord, you have this. You have the harmony being 1, natural 7 or sharp 7, however you want to look at it, to the 2, to the 1. That's your suspension, 2, 1. Same pattern on the 2 chord now. 1, sharp 7, 2, 1. Now here's your suspended fourth. Now how do we know that is suspended fourth? We're on an E chord, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's the 4, moving down to the 3, and then the 2, and then the 3. And then 1. So you have this fascinating harmonic concept against the melody. Okay, wrapping up, you can see that the suspended fourth and the suspended 2 have a lot of usages and are very practical in the sense that we use them a lot in all types of modern music, whether it be jazz, whether it be classical or pop music, and particularly in pop music. So I hope this has shed some light on the mystery of the suspended chords. And let me know how you liked this or didn't, and I'll be very happy to answer any questions or continue with this in greater length. So thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next time around.